Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us again today on another episode here with Tiho and the Arcane Bear. We are feeling very bullish, and more so than just feeling. We have had all the technical indicators up to this point confirm that. Have had a lot of that backed by the fundamentals this entire time. And I think, again, one of the favorite parts to remember here is that don't call it a bear market. Don't even call it a bear cycle. Just understand, if you are a good bear, you're accumulating, adding to your forge, and consistently investing and building up that big old belly of yours. So we're going to start here by looking at this. Okay, boom. This is a nice little drawing that we've shared. So one of the fun things about these Wyckoff accumulation charts is that recognizing they are changing frequently, right? So when we got to the bottom of our spring here, this little orange area, again, we could have dipped a little lower because we do see very sharp springs sometimes, but we had a low volume spring into this falling wedge pattern. And we've actually seen patterns like this all across the table. So Bitcoin is looking absolutely fantastic. I believe new all-time highs are just around the corner. I also wanted to take a look at Ethereum. So this is another accumulation schematic, although this is a little bit of a weaker schematic when you have these breakout tops on the long accumulation channel afterwards. Now, I don't know what weaker means in the crypto sector. We have seen 20x, 40x, 200x gains in very short order with many of these ideas. So I don't necessarily know what a weaker reaccumulation channel looks like. So any of the traditional ideas we used to have in the past about what these things represented, I've pretty much thrown out the window, and just looking at the fact that we are feeling very bullish. Now, getting it right, getting the timing right, is much more about consistency than any particular price point. We've gone over that in so many episodes. And one of the things I think that we should look at today is, again, try to take a little bit of a deeper dive. And yes, okay, so here we are back at Ethereum in the final stages of this reaccumulation after decline schematic. We were kind of like right in the final SOS and LPS area. So for those of you that have been studying the Wyckoff trading ranges with us for quite some time, this is where things start to get super exciting. This area here, when we are above the top of the trading range, the trading range again is denoted by this green area, these two green lines, both at the bottom and at the top of our trading range. Yeah, I guess that feels kind of self-explanatory, but I thought I'd go over it anyways because, you know, who knows what else we have time to talk about. Okay. So because everything is looking really bullish, Bitcoin, I believe we're going to new all-time highs. Ethereum going to new all-time highs. It is guaranteed now in my particular opinion. Avalanche here as well, also forming this very nice accumulation schematic. So again, we've hit multiple targets, low volume spring, very, very similar to what we just saw with Bitcoin. And now we're moving up this accumulation channel effectively. And now for those of you, again, that have been studying with us for the last year, two, or longer, you will recognize these widening megaphone patterns that start to move out of the back of the box and create what's known as an LPS, or your last point of supply. So I doubled down on Avalanche the other day. I bought some more Ethereum as well, although that's just a part of the consistent strategy. It's not because of any particular price movement. It was just, hey, it's that time of the month. Flow. So I'm feeling very bullish because across the market, we see very strong indicators. The falling wedge that we were watching on Solana also breaking out above, holding above the point of control with absolutely no trouble. 1 inch as well. Here was our falling wedge, broke up. It's trying to get above that previous pattern that we were sitting in, this area here. Again, we're looking at the kind of the top of the trading range. So I think very similar to what we saw or what we're witnessing with Avalanche is that we're going to get this kind of widening channel through the backside of the trading range before going much higher on pretty much every single token. These will look like fireworks. You'll wake up one day and all of a sudden 1 inch will be up like 200% at $10 or something crazy. They happen very quickly and it almost feels random. For those of you that are in our private group, you know that we are very excited about venture capital. I believe that this entire sector, yes, that's right, this entire sector represents one of the greatest opportunities that the digital native generation can possibly have, because you have the opportunity to enter into what is now a global financial system that we didn't have before. Now, for better or for worse, we're just going to leave it at hopefully for better. One of the fun things here is we've been watching Sol rise. We made our early investments not too long ago, probably 30 days out, and we're already 140% up on that play. So shout out to all the private Bear members who understand this core thesis, and I can't repeat it enough times, of heads I win, tails I only, next try to spell, lose a little. This is probably one of the most important mantras to understanding the potential of asymmetric upside versus the limited downside of how much you invest. So, can't actually spell, can I? Heads I only lose a lit. Heads I only lose a little. So, what does this mean? This means that had you decided to invest, let's say 10 grand, right? You could only lose that 10 grand. Now 10 grand might be a lot of money for some of you. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's 1,000, maybe it's 100,000. The initial number is irrelevant because for you and for each individual, that risk reward relationship is actually entirely different for each one of you. So remember to be flexible and make sure you're getting a good sleep. If you can't get a good sleep, it probably means you're overextended and you're probably doing something wrong. Okay. Note that the sleep indicator is very important. If you're losing sleep because of your trades and your investments, you are doing it wrong. Okay, next thing, Mercurial. We took some great entries there. We had a 10x right off the get-go for Mercurial from the IDO. It's retraced about 80%, and we see our first sign of significant buy side pressure come in. This to me represents the spring of the bottom effectively. I believe that we hit our spring right here, not a low volume spring, but I believe it is our spring. So it's nice to see. I do suspect that we will continue upwards. We could even make some type of conjecture that this is like a really crazy falling wedge. Now, I don't want to push that too much. In the early stages of any project, you're looking at low liquidity, which also means you're looking at high volatility. So because of that, just sitting patiently. But we did see a nice bounce from that spring on Mercurial, up over 12% the last week. Serum, another one I'm a big fan of here, falling wedge, back to the top of the trading range. It does look like we are seeing this particular pattern almost across all aspects of the crypto sector. So there's a lot of people out there like, oh, it's a dead cat bounce. First off, you do not have dead cat bounces at the end of a trading range. That makes no sense. You have dead cat bounces usually right at the beginning. So for instance, here when we hit around $1,900 for Ethereum and then bounced right back up, these are usually what are considered dead cat bounces before falling lower. We did not get that. We hit multiple areas of support, again, within our trading range, here and here. So this is not a dead cat bounce. This is the start and the continuation of bull market part dos. So next thing, a lot of people were excited about XRP. I made some bold ideas around the SEC and XRP in general. I don't really think you want to invite a thug to a fight necessarily. Probably is better off to be friends with the thugs. I'm surprised they didn't just offer to pay them off right at the beginning. That's what almost everybody else does. Allows you to go merrily along your way with whatever you were doing before and not having to get in this strenuous legal battle that you may actually lose because the US government has been known to specifically screw with people just because they don't like you. So I don't know what XRP is doing, but I figured we'd take a look here. The price reaction has been very strong, but it's not something I'm necessarily interested in. But remember, tails I only lose a little, so whatever you feel you should be doing, I highly suggest you follow that because I have been wrong about certain things in the past, and I would hate to think that you thought that listening to me would be the ultimate decision for you to make a thing that you were investing in. And what you should do is pretty much ignore everybody and come to your own damn conclusions. That's why none of this is financial advice, ladies and gentlemen. We are here sharing our journey of the learning process of what each of these things looks like to us and the skills and I guess the thesis that has been the most beneficial. And again, that has all been simplified in the simple idea of heads I win, tails I only lose a little. Okay. Matic, also very strong recovery. We could make some conjecture here again that we were witnessing something very similar to Ethereum, which is, I'm just kind of rough sketching, a reaccumulation after decline. So I suspect that at this point, the bull market is guaranteed. This is not a dead cat bounce. Everything is going higher. Now, do I think it's going 10 times higher? No. I think at most we should be looking for a 2x to a 3x from where we are today. At very most, we're not going to see some inornate hyper cycle. I do not believe. Nature doesn't do that. Nature has this really beautiful way of repeating infinite patterns that have existed here long before you ever knew the world was a thing, and will continue to exist long after dead and dirt in the ground. So remember that. The universe has been doing long before you came around and is going to continue to do that, and likely what we are witnessing in all of these areas of accumulation are actually the side effects of that motion. Like the universe is in motion. You can make some arguments against it if you would like, but I believe it's probably the most logical and the simplest answer to why we see all these very interesting repetitious patterns that move throughout the universe. Anyways, I'm going to keep it simple for today. I wanted to go over something that I think is interesting. Oh, we're only 10 minutes in. That was great. We went real fast there. I want to, so in the links today, there is a link to an NFT. So, okay, here, I drew up a painting or an art the other day. I'm not a great artist, but I like drawing. I like doing all sorts of art. I don't really care what it is. And with all the NFT hype, I thought, hey, well, this would be fun. Let's just do a little doodle, because I doodle all the time. And then we're going to sell it. And whoever buys this one, we already have one bid here for 161 bucks. You will get to pick whichever charity that money gets donated to. There is a cap at 1 Ethereum just because I have to keep track of all the nonsense as well too. So effectively, if you can make a bid on this NFT, if you would like, if not, if you could retweet and share it, that would be kind of fun. It's more of a social experiment. But again, all of the proceeds that go from the sale of this NFT will go to a charity of the winner's choice. So just something fun. Or if they don't want to choose, I'm happy to just give it to Kiva, which is one of my favorite 501(c) nonprofits out there that helps underprivileged entrepreneurs find loans that they would never normally be able to get. Okay, so back to the charts. I wanted to go over the VIX. We're still heading downwards on the volatility index. Looks great. I suspect we're going to see that coming in maybe for the next month or two. I suspect some spikes around December through November, which is just kind of a common. It's cold. People are scared. It's dark. It's cold and dark. Just leave it at that. It's like a pretty clear denominator. It's cold and dark during the wintertime. So that's usually how people will also act in the Northern Hemisphere. A little bit cold, a little bit dark. Anyways, the dollar index, but pushed up against the top of its trading range for now. Again, no correlation to Bitcoin here whatsoever, which is a good thing. But we are going to want to keep an eye on the dollar's potential strength here. Anyways, just as an interesting story. The S&P 500 is at new all-time highs. Again, this is what I've said over and over again. Do not underestimate how high this damn thing is going to go when they can just keep printing money. Effectively, the S&P 500 is the world's largest monetary experiment. Well, all the markets are. They're just going to keep printing. Therefore, asset prices are going to continue to climb. That is probably going to take place for the next 10 years. I don't see why not. We are at an extraordinarily deflationary moment. I was on a phone call where kids are playing video games in the Philippines, making more money playing video games like Axes than their parents are earning operating a store. And that is an artifact of deflation. The fact that a child can play a video game and make more money than their parents who operate a store that's been there for 10 years, especially in the middle of the pandemic, is an artifact of the world that's coming that will be so powerful in this deflationary forces, which really try to, I have no idea what it's going to look like in the future, but we can assume that you should be getting rewarded and being paid for being on Facebook, for being on Instagram, for being on YouTube. The fact that you have not been paid for the network growth of the world's largest companies is basically unacceptable. And I do suspect that over the next few years, these rewards for participating are going to increase, and it is one of the most, again, exciting opportunities about this kind of deflationary and global decentralized opportunity. So the NASDAQ is having a harder time getting into new all-time highs, looking like it wants to roll over. Even if it does, I suspect we would get a bounce, and then what you're going to end up witnessing is that this is actually the SOS, not a phase C. And again, it's one of the always the confusing parts is this phase C or is it phase E? Because it makes a big difference in the direction that the market goes. Yet they are very deceivingly similar. And this is also why we suggest looking for multi-year accumulation ranges. They're significantly easier to find. And like a good old bear, you can just keep accumulating whenever you would like. Okay, we'll spend the last few minutes of today's episode going over and looking at just a few of your guys' thoughts and questions. It says, Jeremy says, Soul Rise, whoop whoop. Yeah, that has been a good performer for us this last while. Kevin Rob says, why is YouTube suppressing your content? The live feed link was taken from my sub list. Damn YouTube for trying to suppress crypto content. You know what? It's weird. I actually agree with you. Normally I wouldn't agree with something like this because it feels a little conspiratorial, but YouTube has definitely been, let's say, suppressing our accounts since 2018. It's either that or I'm just highly unpopular and I can't manage to keep people entertained, which is a possibility, but it seems a little unlikely. At least a little unlikely. But whatever, what the hell do I know? I'm still happy. And I'm very grateful for the Bear family and the community that we have built here. And just to make sure, if you would like to, go to arcanebear.com and sign up. We now offer a free version of our newsletter, which is a condensed form that's usually only a few pages of the private deep dives that we go through. So because of this content censorship, be sure to follow us on arcanebear.com. Well, they will never be able to suppress any of the content that we deliver directly to your email inbox. So if you would like to, go to arcanebear.com and try to sign up for that free newsletter instead. It's a step to get us there. Boom. Let's see. A few more thoughts before I jump off here. Can you go through some Glassnode data? Oh, and Cardano. Yeah. Okay. So why? Oh, yeah. Cardano wasn't on the screen today. That's what happened there. So we'll open it up and look at some Glassnode data. It's a little boring right now. Basically, I mean, on-chain metrics are a little boring. We have all the confirmations we need. I don't think I need extra confirmations. Generally, what you want to try to do is remove the noise as well, and just looking for extra data often increases the noise. It doesn't actually remove it. So the on-chain data is less relevant to me than the technical data. The technical data is all I believe I need to see. Cardano, again, very similar to what we were looking at with Ethereum, which was a reaccumulation after decline. I do suspect you're going to see very, very bullish moves coming out of every single aspect of the market. You're at an 85% uptick from Cardano's lowest point on the trading range down here as well. So we do see that explosive growth in every aspect of the altcoin sector. So much like we see with Avalanche here, all the aligning factors for the continuation of this bull market are right on the table and glaringly obvious. That's in my opinion. So Cardano's going to, again, I don't suspect Cardano's going to make it to like $10 this round. Where we are today, I could expect maybe a 2 to 3x at max, but you have to remember we're already up really, really freaking high. So since our first entries in our podcast with Charles Hoskinson, we are up 13x, right? Going another 2x from here is incredible. So please remember that if you go back and you look at our interview with Charles Hoskinson when we made our first entries, that was what feels like forever ago, but B, 13 times lower than we are today. So once we're up this high, don't think that we're going to get another 10x from here. We already had that. It's probably not going to happen again, or not at least in this moment. In the next bull market cycle, we'll see what happens. But for now, don't try to overextend yourself thinking that you're going to get a 10x on something like Cardano, because we already had that since December. So it would be silly to think that we're going to get it again in the short order at the end of the bull market. No, a 2 to 3x for sure. Maybe upwards of $6 even, something crazy. Sure, why not? Who knows? Like to 3x, Cardano's been ridiculous, right? But to think it's going to go a 10x from here or something like that is kind of absurd. Over the course of the next 5 years, hey, sure, anything could happen, but I'm not going to bet on that. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. Kind of simple for today. I'm not going to go over the on-chain data. It's basically boring in compared with the trading ranges. I think we have all the data we need to see there as well. the Glassnode data just seems basically irrelevant to me at this moment. I don't care. I have the confirmations I need from the technicals. Who cares what the fundamentals say? Fundamentals are basically useless to some degree. Like GameStop, right? There were no fundamentals to GameStop, but look what the price did. So technicals is way more important than fundamentals, because a technical speculation can drive a hell of a lot further than a fundamental speculation. Fundamentals are just there to assure us, hopefully, that if we got it right, over the next 10 years, that product will still be there effectively. That's what fundamentals are for. They're more for like a long-term time frame than the short-term time frame. I think the technicals provide us all the data we need. Anyways, Stu with the Arcane Bear, thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate you guys' support. And we'll see you again on the next episode.